Good morning.
Good
Morning.
Miss.
Okay, so welcome back to our educational psychology class. Today we will talk about self-regulation. So is there any one of you who know what self-regulation is? Okay, so if you don't have any question, the class can be dismissed. Don't forget to submit your assignment about the summary of the required readings on Saturday, September 26th before midnight. See you.
See you,
See you,
Miss.
Miss. Bye-bye. Thank you, Miss.
Goodbye.
Hello guys, good morning. How was your life? I hope you are in good conditions. Okay, after you watched the video, let's discuss about it. The first question is what are the differences between Anna and Elsa? Yes, you are right. The differences are pointing out of the differences between Elsa's time management and Anna's time management. Elsa has good time management, target-oriented, and self-scheduled, but Anna has poor time management and unplanned. The next one is about the problems arise from Anna's time management are frustrated and poor learning outcomes. So guys, which one is the self-regulated students? Yes, you are right. The self-regulated students is Elsa. Guys, actually, what is the self-regulation and the characteristic of self-regulated learning? How to implement self-regulated learning in the classroom? What are the challenges? Can a teacher and parents do? What will be the outcome? Guys, are you curious about it? Let's check it out.
What is self-regulated? I'm sure that all of you already know about that, but here, let me tell you the definition of self-regulated according to Zimmerman and Browning. So, self-regulated learning happens when learners are able to control their learning process to achieve their goal. They are able to plan, monitor, and evaluate their learning.
So it comes into the characteristics of self-regulated learners. According to Zimmerman in 1994 and Burkowski and Muthukrishna in 1992, the characteristics of self-regulated learners are divided into 5 major characters. The first one is strategies. Learners will have strategies such as know a large number of learning strategies. Learners know when, where, and why these strategies are important. Learners can also select and monitor strategies wisely. The second one is task-oriented. Learners know a lot about many topics. The third one is self-efficacy. Self-regulated learners feel confident and do not fear failure. The fourth one is when the learners feel motivated if they have self-initiative, are active in completing tasks, believe in their own effort, and feel intrinsically motivated. The last one is evaluative. Learners having self-regulated can select and monitor strategies wisely. They adhere to an incremental view regarding to the growth of mind. They also have concrete and multiple images of themselves.
Okay, so we have learned what self-regulated learning is all about. Now we will discuss how to implement self-regulated learning in classroom setting. But before we talk about that, we will discuss about the 5 essential academic skills which can be enhanced by a self-regulated learning. The 5 skills record study time, text material, note-taking, examinations, and writing. Self-regulated learning aims to make learners be able to plan and study time more effectively, understand and summarize text material better, improve methods of note-taking, anticipate and prepare better for examinations, and write more effectively. Then the next question would be how to improve the 5 skills. This is where we're introduced to the self-regulated learning cycle. As you can see here, the cycle involves 4 major steps so that learners are able to self-regulate their learning. Self-monitoring and evaluation is the phase when learners judge their personal effectiveness. Goal setting and strategic planning occur when learners do the following: analyze the learning tasks, set specific learning goals, and plan or refine the strategy to attain the goal. The third step is strategy implementation and monitoring. This happens when learners execute the strategy in structured contexts. During the execution, they will also need to monitor their accuracy in implementing it. And the last step would be strategic outcome monitoring. Here, learners need to focus on links between learning outcomes and strategic processes to determine effectiveness. They will try to evaluate whether the executed strategic processes improve learning outcomes not only in a positive manner, but also in an effective one. And while it seems that there are only 4 steps in improving the 5 essential academic skills, it is important to note that the steps are cyclical. This means the process will go over and over until the most effective strategy is obtained. Now that we already know the cycle and the procedural steps in implementing self-regulated learning in classroom, we will try to see how the steps can be applied in certain contexts. We will have 2 cases here. The first case is seen from learner's point of view, where a learner is required to solve their own learning obstacles. The second case, on the other hand, is seen from teacher's point of view. It will become an illustration of how teachers could assist learners in enhancing their self-regulatory skills. We will start from the first case. Belle is a 7th grader who has poor performance in history class. What should she do? Here is our suggestion. During the self-evaluation and monitoring step, she could firstly narrow down the problem. The general problem is that she has a poor performance in history class. There might be several causes, such as poor time management, ineffective way of reading the materials, or poor writing organization. In addressing this case, we will narrow down the problems into poor time management. Or, if we revert to the 5 essential academic skills, the poor planning and using of study time. After the specific problem is determined, which is the poor time management, Belle needs to recall when she usually starts working on the task. For example, Belle usually works on the task the night before it is supposed to be submitted. Then it will become the problem. Then it could be the departure point to fix the task quality problem. She needs to work on her task with a better time management. In order to do that, she needs to make a schedule of all fixed activities. After that, she could estimate the amount of mean time she has in each day. For every task assigned to her, she needs to break them into small tasks and allocate specific amount of time to work on those targeted small tasks. Now it is time for the execution. During the implementation, Belle needs to monitor whether the small task is conducted in the intended time, whether she started earlier, on time, or late, or whether she finished it earlier, on time, or late. She also needs to pay attention to whether the allocated time is sufficient, whether it is enough, too much so that it can be reduced, or too little, then it can be added. For the last step, after the strategy is completed, she needs to evaluate the task quality. It can be done by doing self-evaluation, peer feedback, or waiting for the grade to be released. If there is no improvement on the task quality, then she can repeat the cycle, which will require her to do a different approach. Meanwhile, if there is an improvement, she can still repeat the cycle if she wants to look for the most effective strategy in dealing with her time management. Now we can move to the next case. Do you still remember about Anna's problem from the role play in the beginning of the video? Well, I assume you do. But if you don't, you can rewatch the role play again. Similar to Belle, Anna's problem is also related to time management. However, instead of focusing on how Anna can fix her problem by herself, we will focus on how the teacher can help her in fixing it. The teacher can do the following. First, ask her to keep a detailed record, whether the late submission is frequent or only occasional. Second, help her to recall why she submitted late. Is it because she often procrastinates, or is it because of emergencies? Third, guide her in concluding that her problem is, for example, in managing time to read. For example, she had a lot of pages to read, but she did not allocate sufficient amount of time. Fourth, assist her in breaking the reading comprehension task into components. For example, she can break it into reading 1, reading 2, reading 3, and writing. The next step would be suggesting and demonstrating how certain component can be improved. Since the problem is related to the insufficient reading time, we can either add the time or make the reading more effective. But for this case, let's just suggest her to allocate more time to read. And then we have to ask her to implement the strategy. Seventh, give feedback and/or suggest a competent classmate who is good at time management to give feedback regarding her time allocation. The next step would be asking her to notice when she submitted the task after the strategy is implemented, whether she submitted it earlier, on time, or late. Because the case is about fixing the late submission issue, then the focus is whether allocating more time to read will help Anna submit her task on time. If she submits it on time, then the strategy works, and vice versa. Okay, so we have learned from the two cases. We have learned the self-regulatory cycle and how to implement it. There are actually several alternatives we could explore. Those alternatives will be explained by Ayu.
Okay, after Marita explained how students applying self-regulatory process in classroom using the cycle, here I will add some alternative ways how to implement self-regulation learning in classroom by Iresen 2008. Good learners monitor and regulate their learning process by selecting strategies that are appropriate to the activities. It includes strategies to maintain motivation and self-belief, as well as cognitive strategies such as goal setting, monitoring, and self-evaluating. There are three types of cognitive strategies. The first one is rehearsal, or known as rote learning. This strategy can help learners to attend information and to remember. It can be very useful for memorizing significant historical dates, foreign language vocabulary, and many others. And the second is elaboration. It includes paraphrasing, summarizing, creating analogies, asking questions, explaining the information to another person, and applying in new situations. And the third is organization. It includes comparing and constructing, drawing diagrams and or concept maps, and identifying relationships. There are some strategies how students taking control of learning using the self-regulatory process in classroom. Here are the self-regulatory strategies how to implement SRL in classroom. The first one is self-evaluating, organizing and transforming, and then goal setting and planning, seeking information, keeping records and monitoring, environmental structuring, memorizing, seeking help, and reviewing. This table, we can see the process of self-regulatory of a student who has a good achievement by implementing the strategies. The first is goal setting. The student making list of goals to accomplish during studying. And the second is task strategies. Here, the students can make a mnemonics to remember facts. So, mnemonics is a device such as a pattern or letters, ideas, or association that assist in remembering something. You can search on internet to see the examples of mnemonics. And then imaginary. The students are imagine the consequences of failing to study. It can make them much more motivated to do their best in the learning process. Self-instruction. The students are rehearsing or practice steps in solving problems. It also can be a verbalizing confidence and praising or prompting like Let's go, you can do it. Then time management. Here, the students scheduling daily studying and homework time. So it will be clear what time they work with the assignment. The next is self-monitoring. The students keeping records of complete assignment. They will list the assignment that has been done and not done yet. After working with the assignment, the students do double check to the work before handing it to the teacher. Self consequence is like a reward for yourself after doing the homework. You can do some activities that makes you enjoy, like watching TV or anything fun. And the next is environmental structuring. Here, the students already set a place that they can work with no distraction. The last is help seeking. The students can use a study partner such as friends, teacher, or the people around them. High achiever not only use more strategies than low achievers, but they use them more often. Whoever makes many strategies but does not often apply them in daily life, all of them will be in vain.
In this slide, I will discuss about the difficulties in self-regulated learning based on Sudan and Nakata 2012. The first one is the students are easily influenced by external factors such as teaching methods, teachers, and test scores, either than in a positive and negative way. Second is the student way of learning English do not seem effectively because they usually translate English materials into their first language, consulting a dictionary and skipping difficult parts rather than reading and grasping the content. Their problem seems to lie in goal setting, the first stage of the cycle self-regulatory phases. Fail to set up proximal process goals that lead to the next stages, like strategic planning, self-efficacy, intrinsic value, and future goals. The third one is lack of cognitive strategies. When they learn, they are not repeating the materials, organizing new language, summarizing meaning, guessing meaning from context, and do not using imaginary for memorization. And then, lack of metacognition. They are not used plan, monitor, and assess their self in understanding and performance during learning process. Fifth, they are not unclear planning and goal setting. Then the students' interest and willingness to learn English could have decreased as a result of changes in their career plans. The last but not least is the students cannot study English on their own. This can be interpreted as inclination toward discounting English students in the future, especially once extra driving factors such as entrance examinations fail to exert an influence.
In doing self-regulatory in the classroom, there must be rules for both teachers and parents. The first one I'm going to explain is the teacher's roles. There are some roles that teachers do. Teachers have some responsibilities in doing their job. How the teachers do their responsibilities is to ask the students to self-monitor. Next is assist the student to analyze data individually or in a small group. Then help them to set goals and choose the best strategies suited to their self-monitoring outcomes. About teaching self-regulatory techniques, teachers should give a model of self-monitoring and self-strategy selection. How to do it? The first one is demonstrating the teacher's process monitoring forms. and then hypothesizing strategy choices and evaluating the outcomes. The last one is clarifying strategies in terms of the result improved. Teachers should encourage students to self-monitor. Here, students can refine their self-regulation strategies. The last role from the teachers is to function as a tutor. The tutor provides specific and personalized feedback instead of giving general information. The students really need teacher support in order to the continuation of students' self-regulatory approach. Teachers should also focus on learning method before attending to the learning outcomes. The goals from this is to transform the classes into academics where students can become smart learners. The second one is parents' roles. Parents should know the self-regulatory learners when they accompany their children at home. It concerns more about self-regulatory training. It is about building students' awareness of their strengths and limitations. Next is self-monitoring. Parents need to know how self-monitoring works. They need to know the children's learning self-observe and self-evaluate. Next is scheduled time. Parents have to set regularly scheduled time. They have to know the future academic goals and make the study more efficient and conducive during at home. Parents should know the effective learning strategies of their children. By observing their children, parents can know the best techniques to help the youngsters study. The last is parents are alert to the youngsters' improvement. This is very important for parents' role. Parents forewarn the youngsters for signs of growth in their studying to know even little improvement. The youngsters following an internalization of their skills are needed to be assisted or supported.
Okay, guys, this is the last discussion about our topic today. It's about expected outcome of a self-regulated learning, such as to depend learning English in the future. Set proximal process goals leading to subsequent stage such as strategic planning, self-efficacy, intrinsic value, and ultimately for their future goals. Get impacts positive results in learning process and self-efficacy beliefs. Get good test results since the effect vary degrees in all aspects of cognitive, behavioral, and affective. Increase their focus. This led to higher scores, which gradually confirmed their self-efficacy beliefs. Realize future goals and then use English as means of communication in the job. And then for the last one is increase self-confidence while studying or working. Okay guys, for the conclusion, there are three conclusions. The first one is the importance of self-regulated learning. Our students can control their learning process to achieve their goal. They are able to plan, monitor, and evaluate their learning. The second one is the implementation in self-regulated learning is 5 essential academic skills, such as studying time, text material, note-taking, examination and writing. Then, self-regulated cycle and cognitive strategy. The last one is the role of parents and teachers is very important in shaping students' learning habits. Even though there are many obstacles, with the help of parents and teachers, that will hope that can be motivated students to learn. Okay, for our references, this is our references. Guys, after we explain our topic today, are you become a self-regulated learner? Please share your experience of self-regulated learning. You can write on comment sections below. I think that's all for our presentations. We hope that our presentation will help your understanding about our topic today. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.